The views and opinions expressed during this show do not necessarily reflect the
policy or position of any affiliated workplace or employer.
The views and opinions of this show do not constitute recommendations for therapy.
Please contact a licensed SLP for individual consult
on your situation.
Please listen carefully.
What is communication?
Communication is life.
An essential behavior of life. We have the both blessing and responsibility of trying to foster in others.
It's transmitting a thought from one person to another.
It's the strongest way for two people to convey information to each other.
The back and forth between two people.
Communication is a lifeline.
It's just connection with other people.
Connecting people in terms of ideas or thoughts or needs.
Draws us out of ourselves, draws us into that relationship, builds up our families. Without it, we'd be lost.
Whatever it is that we do to express intent and achieve an impact.
Communication is the ability to express your needs, wants, frustrations, and desires to anyone that you feel needs to have that information.
Welcome to Speech Science, episode number 2 of season 8, or also known as episode number 177. I'm Matt Hott, a speech and language pathologist working in schools and now officially part-time in home health care, joined as always by our voice expert, Ruchi Kapila.
Hi, Matt. How's it going?
I'm wonderful. I'm so glad to be back on air. And then the PTSD SLP herself, MACCCSLP, Rachel Archambault.
Did you miss me?
I did. Did I miss any other letters behind or before your name?
No, I was hoping you'd mess up, but you did great.
Nope. And our child expert, moving anywhere and everywhere the sun graces these United States. It's Michelle Wintering.
Hi, Matt. Good to see you all again.
Good to see you guys. It's so great. So we just found out before we went on air, full transparency, the last episode may or may not be broadcasting, depending on your podcast user. So we will get that fixed. But how have you guys been? Let's start off with Ruchi. How is life on the West Coast, the best coast?
It's good. I mean, things are slowing down for the holiday, which is really nice, and sorely needed. So I feel like I'm reorganizing a lot of things with the practice. I was asked by my alma mater to teach phonetics next semester, which would be my first time being an instructor for undergraduate students.
Ooh.
That's my favorite topic, so that's really good. And then it was just, I'm excited to gift a lot of stuff to my niece and nephew and just write it out, have a good time. Yeah. How about you?
When I did my undergrad, my leveling courses, because I went to Kent State in the bad adult decision program, which is where if you had an undergrad and not speech, they let you take these classes for speech therapy to get into grad school. And that is where I learned that I said the word umbrella wrong was in phonetics.
Why do you say it wrong? What do you mean?
I guess it's my southwest corner. I used to be umbrella instead of umbrella. I don't even know the difference.
I feel
but it was
like
some
what's
weird
wrong with
stress.
either of those, though?
Yeah, I was just told that I stressed it incorrectly.
Well, that is very regional. So
yeah, we're going to teach phonetics in a very this is a way for us to transcribe things that we hear, and we're not going to diagnose things, kind of thing, and
in a right and wrong accent sort of way.
Yes.
Yeah, I was the only one without the Cleveland
Oh, the Cleveland A of Northern Ohio. I know that one.
So was it umbrella?
Umbrella. I think they were umbrella, and I was like umbrella, like a surprise.
That's
I don't know.
fine.
I always threw off all my phonetic
my
partners.
leveling class for phonetics, because I also took the longer route to become an SLP, was online, not video. It was online and in chats, typed out chats.
Nope. No, thank you.
And then also I did learn in that I could not tell the difference. I can now between when people would say CAUGHT and COT. There was no difference for me when I transcribed it.
Oh, I still have no difference
Caught
in mine.
and caught, or caught and caught.
No.
Yeah, no, I caught the cot and slept on the cot.
I say I'm the same.
Rachel, a month ago, I got to see you in person and did not get confused if we went to grad school together or if I had ever seen you before. So hello.
Hello. I also have a great story to tell about Matt when I saw him at ASHA.
Yes, do tell. I missed being at ASHA and I wish I could have been there with all of you. So fill me in on all the stories.
We missed you, Michelle, but it's funny because Matt was walking with Julie. Hello, Julie, if you're listening. And I just see Julie's blonde hair walking through the crowd. And then I see next to her is Matt. And Matt has 2 drinks in his hand. He's got his bag on his shoulder. And Julie is laughing hysterically. And she's
non-alcoholic,
like,
guys.
Yes, correct. Which is part of the story, Matt. So Julie's laughing and I was like, what's up? And she's like, you'll never guess what's in Matt's drink. And I was like, what's in your drink? And Matt explains that he thought what was in his drink was like iced tea. But what was it a combo of, Matt?
So, Michelle, you as the Ohioan will appreciate that I tried to make an Arnold Palmer. And what is in an Arnold Palmer?
That's not just an Ohio thing.
I know,
half
but like
tea, half lemonade.
But like
Chick-fil-A
Ohio State
serves
golf, Arnold Palmer.
Yeah,
right.
I know.
So lemonade, sweet tea. So the lemonade was pretty gross. So I thought I read there was like unsweetened tea, and on the next to it, I just assumed was sweet tea, and it was iced coffee.
Oh.
So he was too proud to just say no. So
he just put
he was
bitter
sipping on it.
coffee with lemonade.
Yes, and he was just
Lemonade.
but it looked accurate. If you're just looking at the see-through cup, it looks like a regular Arnold's Palmer, but he was too proud to just put it down and say this was not what I wanted. So he was carrying it around, he was sipping at it, and then he finally was like, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. But he tried his very, very best, and that was my first time seeing him since ASHA 2019 in person.
What made it worse is the lemonade and the iced coffee kept making me thirstier, so I drank more of it, which then made me even grosser and then more thirsty. Michelle, how have you been? Let's just move on. Michelle, how have you been?
Oh, wow. I know I wasn't on our last episode and we haven't been on in a while. Since I've been on with you all, we have once again packed up and moved cross country from Central Texas, and I now call Asheville, North Carolina home.
Woo!
So there you go. Yeah, and my husband transitioned out of active duty Army, and we are excited to be somewhere without an expiration date.
Wow.
Yay.
That's huge.
That's a huge thing. Yep.
So we have now 3 Eastern time zones and a Pacific time zone. Am I right?
We do.
Awesome. All right. That'll make scheduling a little bit easier for me.
Just 2 time zones now.
Just 2 time zones to juggle. Since ASHA, I got a puppy. That's about the newest thing.
Oh, what kind of dog?
A husky.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where's the husky?
Sleeping in the other room because it is 6 weeks old.
Oh,
so I will post something.
6 weeks?
Yes.
That's like that most places don't even send them home with you at 6 weeks.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. I'll tell more off air. I already told Ruchi part of it. So, but I will send a picture to Rachel to post onto the Speech Science Instagram because I found out I don't have the password to that.
I'm in control now.
We are the #1 entertainment SLP podcast, and none of us know what's going on.
Just pieces. We all have pieces.
On today's episode, we're going to wrap up or take a wrap up, I guess, a look back on how the ASHA convention was going. We got our SLP shout out, but of course, we want to hear from you. The Discord has few people in it, and I see people posting every now and then, so we want you to join there. Also, you can find us at speechsciencepodcast.com, speechsciencepodcast@gmail.com. Even though it's been a while, I can still memorize all of that.
That's very impressive.
Bike, Matt.
What part of your brain does that? I don't remember.
Definitely long-term memory.
No. All right. So we're going to do the ASHA wrap up. And Michelle, we're going to tell you all the fun secrets that you unfortunately had to miss out on. Ruchi, were you there on the opening night walkthrough?
No. I was flying in. I probably got in around I want to say 10:40 or 11 at night.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember doing that in Orlando or Denver. I really enjoyed being able to just kind of walk the floor that first night to really try to get, a lay of the booths, talk to people, and really just kind of pick up all my pens that I was going to need for the next 3 days anyway. So let's start on the show floor. Like, what was it that was on the show floor that maybe you guys loved, that you guys hated, that you wish would come back? We can kind of start in any of the directions.
I guess it was very cool for me to see people with booths, the friends that I've made online, and seeing them in real person, real life. I'm thinking of Sam from Speaking of Semantics specifically, to see how deep her line was, for people to just tell her how much her message resonated with people. A lot of grad students, undergrad students that are considering the field of speech and are at their first ASHA and look up to Sam. And Sam was a champ. She was taking pictures all day, every day. She had a smile on her face. And those convention days are long days. It's exhausting. Doesn't matter if you're just hugging people and saying hi. It's a long day. There were so many people that I saw on the exhibit hall floor that I had made friends with online over the past 5 years that I've been doing this. And it was really cool to see them in person. So that was my favorite part of that exhibit hall that first day, was just running into people or like going to their booths and making sure I said hi.
I got yelled at by Jenna Castro Caspon, the private practice SLP, because I have not started my private practice SLP ship yet. Yeah, so that was fun. Thanks, Jenna. Also, it was fun to run into Ayelet Maranovich, the
Ayelet, yeah, we have had her on a couple times, I think.
Learning with Less.
Thank you.
Learn with Less. Yeah, she has a series of books that are really great.
Yeah, and I presented with her back in 2019, so that was really cool to run into her. What about you, Ruchi? I've got a couple things that I loved out there wise, but I want to hear from you first.
I thought it was really cool that PatCom Medical was doing a giveaway of a fee system. So I definitely entered for that, did not win it. I'd love to hear who did, and like for them to document their whole experience with that.
What a cool giveaway.
Yeah. And then with I believe it was like dysphagia evaluation specialist Valeria Krivolevich had like some amazing resources. I've definitely bought a couple of her resources in the past for fees evaluation and just like anatomical variations and things to be able to note during the fees exam. So she was really great. She also had awesome stickers. Definitely dropped by JRC, the SLP, and picked up a bunch of swag, as I did last time in New Orleans. And I feel like I'm spacing other than that, because it really was pandemonium. It's really simple practice. So, I mean, there's bias in that because they're the EHR that I use for my private practice. So, shout out to Laurel Directo from there, who's actually my ASHA step mentee and actually helped me get started and works for them now.
That's cool. I got to do, it was on a mannequin, but I got to do a fees.
Ooh.
Nice.
And I got to feel the Amp Care sticker electrocution thing on my neck. I got to, I loved all of this medical stuff that I don't really get to dip my toe into very often. So I love seeing that. On the flip side, I still don't like when we see booths of just selling random, like,
the jewelry or whatever. Yeah.
Like, okay. I almost feel like I was going to call it craft show stuff. Like, it's not like an extra part of the booth, but it's the whole purpose of the booth is like that kind of stuff. That was the part that I don't know how I feel about it. And it's not just the craft show stuff, but it's like anything that is like, oh, we're just selling koozies and coolers. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, why the hell are you here?
So I
do love some of the swag though. Like
the swag is the swag. I love the swag.
The SLP swag, I think we all enjoy, and seeing everyone's individual take on it and our own tastes with it. What I think you're talking about, Matt, was there was a table that was like jewelry, or there was a scarf one. And
yes.
What my
nothing
questions,
speech related.
No. And my questions that I ask when I see something like that is this a standing booth that is at every single convention that is there? Is this a business that goes to the convention? These are the questions that I ask myself, is like, is this just for speech? Is this a continuing booth? But I don't know why they're there. I don't know what their sales look like there, because people are blowing money on dollar stickers, but
that's true.
No, but I do ask myself those questions when I'm there, because I'm not sure. I've heard from many of the exhibitors how expensive it is to be an exhibitor. So I can't imagine putting down that kind of money for something that is not like a guarantee.
What about you, Richie? Was there a booth that you were just like, yeah, why are you guys here?
I honestly think part of it is that there's just too many. And like navigating was really challenging. Like I wish they would group. I feel like did they really group the booths by like specialty area? Because if they did, that would have been really awesome. So go ahead.
I think that there's some like payment that they get to choose where they would like to be in the aisles, and maybe there's someone that purchases ahead and they say, oh, I'd like to be across from this person because that's going to get more traffic to me. I think there are pay scales. The farther out you went, the cheaper it was. So there's many factors.
Makes sense. That is I didn't realize that, Rachel, that it was based kind of on how much you paid. I mean, that makes 100% sense. We do that with the Cincinnati Comic, or with the expos, that like comic expos. So I guess that makes sense.
I definitely like to know more about it, but you could definitely see like towards the middle, you had these big super duper right in the middle, has multiple rows wide. And then you have towards the right side, like my county that I work for was just a table. And I heard from some people that were in the middle, they had to purchase a floor. They had to purchase chairs. They had to purchase all these things. And I asked my boss that was on the very cheap side, and they're like, no, we didn't have to do any of that. So I think that there's different tiers, different standards for where you are, but I definitely like to know more about that. And
it's zoned. Yeah.
I got to go to a couple dinners with people and get drinks afterwards. And one of the people I was talking to was running a booth, and they talked about how they went to get coffee services, and it was like a couple of grand just to get coffee service at their booth.
That's wild.
What about classes? What were some of the classes that y'all loved? What were some of the ones that y'all hated? Maybe not hated. Maybe we shouldn't call anything on the carpet. I will go with besides the one that I was not allowed to sneak into for you, Rachel. I tried to sneak into Rachel's. I didn't realize we had to pay to get in.
The master class was apparently a paid, a smaller venue, which was really nice. Had a lot of people there, but yes, they had someone guarding the door. So
Ruchi and I just drank instead. We just hung out in the lobby.
It was a good time.
One of the classes, you know what I did not like? It's not a particular class, because I feel like the class was probably really helpful for certain people, but I felt like a lot of the descriptions on the classes were very either misleading or they weren't accurate, because there was a couple of times I went to a class and it just did not match at all. And the one I'm thinking of was one that was talked about like creating AAC opportunities or something. And I assumed that it would be about AAC use in the world. And it was just about like actually designing AAC interfaces.
Yeah, I think that presenters definitely need to make sure what they are advertising as their objectives are what is going to be talked about and in depth. I also think that because I was a presenter this year, I know what the process is, that they ask you like 8 months in advance. So maybe when you do the call for papers, you're like, oh, I'd like to talk about this. Over time, when you're meeting the deadlines and everything, your idea kind of changes, or you kind of forget what you're doing, which that's a mistake on your end to not say, hey, these are the objectives that we are going to be working with. But I heard that from a good amount of people that said, I went to this one session that I thought was really for what I needed to learn about, and it ended up not being what I wanted, or what the description was, and I missed another session that I heard great things about. So it's tough. ASHA, there's so many presentations all at once. It's really hard to choose, but I really did like that they had an online option for people that attended. If you opted into the virtual part, or if you bought the full ASHA in person, you automatically got the virtual one, which was nice. I did not enroll as a presenter to have it online. I did have it live streamed. I had my intro on Saturday morning was live streamed. So I know people watched that from wherever they were, which was really nice. But other than that, I think it took some pressure off of having to go to every single one that I wanted to, because there was a virtual option. And I really appreciate when these conferences do both.
What about you? Sorry, go for it, Ruchi.
No, it's fine. I mean, I think it is very discombobulating and dysregulating to try to figure out where you're going to go and get everywhere in time, especially if there's like 2 or 3 different venues that are next to each other that you're trying to get to, which I gave up at some point. But the one that really stood out to me, that I had, really kind of intended to go see, was Miss Major speaking, who's a Black trans woman activist who was at Stonewall. She is a stroke survivor, so she talked about her experiences accessing services, as well as her history of being, an advocate for the community, which was just really moving. Gregory Robinson, they are a professor and a speech language pathologist at UAMS, which I believe is University of Arkansas Medical Sciences, and is also like an officer of LAGASP, and really did a wonderful job in terms of having this really candid conversation with her. And it really spoke to how we need to have more opportunities to talk to. I want to hear more from patients and clients at ASHA versus other SLPs in terms of understanding where the mismatches happen, or what's really valuable in their words. I think it was a really well attended session. There were so many things I did want to attend, but because Gregory had to fly home earlier than expected, I filled in for them for like leading the LAGASP meeting. I went to the town hall around allyship, which is a really cool opportunity to talk to all the multicultural constituency groups, like the Hispanic Caucus, the Native American Caucus, the South Asian Caucus, the Asian and Pacific Islander Caucus, Disability Caucus, which I'm a part of, as well as LAGASP. And the Haitian Caucus, as well as I believe it's the Middle Eastern and North African Caucus. So it was like a mix of like representatives from all of these different places. It was kind of like having like a cool like UN sort of talk and getting to speak candidly. So I realized that anytime I attend a conference, I need to assume, even if I didn't go to like present, it's just going to end up happening. So I might as well submit something. But yeah, I mean, to your point, Rachel, like I think a lot of people are forgetful about what they're presenting on, or things are very beginner level. They don't really necessarily cater to people who want to have deep dives into their subspecialties. Or it has to be a master class or something that you could purchase on top of the, relatively high priced, like overall.
Yeah, for the very much for the deep dives. You're right.
Yeah.
But what was interesting with my master class though, is that I asked everyone at the very beginning, who has taken a class on trauma-informed care? And many of them did not raise their hands. So I had to build that in. I had to make sure that if I was presenting something and people were there that had never taken a class on trauma-informed care, that they could still follow along. So I did have to do like a bit of a review for everyone, and then was able to build on that, which was really nice. But I think you have to, as a presenter, know what people are looking for, know where the discussion points are in your area, what's going to be asked. And presenting is tough. It really is. Like, it's a lot of preparation. And I give people so much credit for applying to do it. And especially at ASHA, like it's a lot of people. I think during the opening ceremony, they said almost 15,000 people were there for this. It's a big conference. It's overwhelming. It's overstimulating, like Ruchi said. Like I got home from ASHA and didn't talk to anyone for a full 3 days. Like I could not do it. But I think it rejuvenates a lot of us that are just really burnt out from speech, that we get to see the people that we follow, that we've become friends with, that are leaders in the fields, that have good ideas, maybe something that you're struggling with, that you've got a student that you just don't know where to go from there. I think it's a really great place to find collaboration. But it is overwhelming. Totally.
I can't even speak. Makes me want to stutter. Like what you were saying about like rejuvenation. Like I made that post on Facebook and it reminded me of a quote from a professor I had at Kent State where it talked, like she's mentioned, you always go to ASHA to remember why we're SLPs and not to learn something new. And I never understood that until this year, where I don't remember if it was the drinks that we were having where we were talking about, we wanted kind of, Ruchi, what you were saying, more in-depth classes. But this was the first year that I didn't really learn crazy new amounts of information. But it was the first time I've left ASHA ready to walk back into my classroom, into my home care setting to do therapy. Previous ASHAs, I was like, I just don't want to go back to work. This was the first time that I've ever felt like I'm ready to walk back into the room and make drastic changes. I mean, it sounds silly, but as soon as I got back, I had taken a bunch of those like AAC posters and got them laminated. And then we've just been hanging them up in the school. So now there's like random touch chat and lamp, like AAC boards in the school building. Like in good areas, not just like I randomly placed them.
Yeah.
But
well, and this is the reason for ASHA and conventions with speech. Like I'm working with someone in my district who is a relatively young SLP that has said to me, I don't believe in AAC. And whether or not it's that they don't trust my opinion, they don't trust the opinion of the AT program specialist in charge of that is using all the most research-backed information. I wonder if something like ASHA or a state convention would have them say, oh, this impartial person, they're not telling me what to do. This is what I need to do. I think that's one of the benefits of ASHA, is just to see these people in the field that make sense of it when the people that you're working with, and we're all burnt out. Like many of us in speech, we have very toxic environments that we're working in, and we're sick of the field of speech, and we go to ASHA and we see other people that are in the same position of us, and yet we're still rejuvenated to come back and say like, all right, I'm going to try this again. I'm going to try this different way that I learned. And I think that's really great for morale in our field. It's necessary.
Sorry, Richie.
I mean, one of the things that like really hit me, it would help for me, is like getting to see people in person that I'm very close to, or have had like strong like online relationships and collaborations with. And we have whole conversations that I should probably get continuing education for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's like the thing that's really like humbling about like the experience, is that we have a bunch of people that we just run into when we have these very lengthy conversations where we get to unpack a lot of stuff in person that it's just not quite the same whenever you're trying to, message each other or do a phone call or that sort of thing. And so that was like a highlight for me.
Great.
I had
Those
reached out.
Connections, right? That's what I think is the best part. I haven't been there since I was there with you all in Florida. Well, two of you, but this just makes me excited to get back next year.
Like I had text Mei Ling, who I was presenting with, and I told her, I said, whatever you do not let me go back to my hotel room and like shut down at all. And she had texted me and she's like, hey, will you go with me to the Asian Pacific Islander caucus? And I was like, I feel like I probably am not part of that group, but I will go as your guest. And because of that, and I'm missing out on the name, I got to meet the woman who started the Asian Pacific Islanders caucus. And through meeting her, I then got invited to dim sum in Chinatown with her and a couple other people with Mei Ling, and just being like introduced to folks that have such different backgrounds, and then talking to like SLPs from China and Vietnam and stuff like that. It was like, oh my God, this is an experience that I will never have again. It's those experiences, man.
Yeah.
I hate to be Debbie Downer or Danny Downer. What are some of the things that you guys would want to see changed? I, right off the bat, hate the app. The app, the scheduling app, the whole thing made very little sense. And Ruchi, you touched on it, like having to figure out where in 3 buildings you were going to. The app just, I don't know, man. I did not like, because I think in Florida, wasn't there like a book copy as well?
I don't
by times.
I don't know if a book will ever come back, because I think that when ASHA asks for our input, they say we don't need a 100-page book, you know?
Fair.
So I think that we're stuck with the app. I do think that it was somewhat difficult to navigate, but I think that they also do a really good job on the app of describing what you need to do. They had people literally everywhere. As soon as you walk out of the exhibit hall, they're like, what are you looking for? Okay, that way. The Omni Hotel is that way. So I think the app is not necessarily the problem. What I found an issue with—
Are you saying I'm getting old and maybe it was the user error?
Yes, you're a boomer. No, I'm just kidding. No. The issue that
85.
I know the issue that I had with scheduling, for example, for trauma-informed care, is there were many presentations on trauma-informed care, which makes me really happy to see that we're talking about this more. But the problem that I was seeing was they were all stacked against each other. So
common.
Yeah. So when I was trying to picture how this could be better utilized, why not stagger them down throughout times versus across? And this is just how I see it in my mind, is like the same time period that you're going to have several of the same things that people are saying, oh, I'm going to go to this one trauma-informed course, and then they're not offered again until the next day or something like that, or I can't meet that. I think it would be better to have apraxia all day long, trauma all day long. So for people that want to go to those things continuously, they are able to, rather than I have to choose this one over the other one.
So you can
almost
have
like
them
a
all
track.
staggered, right?
Yeah.
Like you're going to follow this track for that day. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I do feel like there are these like huge chunks of break times, and I bless people who do poster presentations. Okay. No tea, no shade. Like, I think it's great that you submitted a poster and that you're going to hang out and talk about like the research project that you did. But I'm not going to like necessarily spend a lot of time, especially in a place where there's a lot of people, a lot of visual input, walking around and like talking to people and having to practice my speech and noise recognition. It's just not going to happen for me most of the time unless I'm seeing somebody specific. So I really think they could have more things, more presentations that are staggered in terms of the time frame, where you don't have these 2 things at the same time, then a break, these 2 things at the same time. Let people decide when they're going to take their breaks, and just like fill the rooms with like, 15 to 20 minute, like, whatever it was, like switching times or transition times.
I know I'm getting old. So I went to go see the posters, and they're not posters anymore. I thought that was really cool that they're all like screens and like
digital posters.
And
I didn't know they did that. Wow.
Right. So like some of the presenters had video, and Ruchi, I 100% agree with what you're saying. I just thought it was kind of cool. Like, as you mentioned, posters, like they were able to have like screens open upon screens. So, back in the day where it was like, here's my research and here's all the stuff I couldn't put on a poster. Like, I'm watching people flip through stuff, and it was like, this is, why haven't we done this in the past? I don't know. Did they do that down in New Orleans? Was it the screens or was it the posters?
I'm not the person to ask.
Oh, I thought you went. I'm sorry.
I didn't go. I mean,
go to the posters.
I don't know what it is. I think it's just that there's so many and then I get overwhelmed. I mean, I think it's great though. I mean, but I also think, for posters, make a digital one with a recording.
Ooh, okay.
Like maybe have like people like check in for like digital Q&A type things. That would be really cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and like I don't know, like I would definitely spread ASHA out in that way, and give people more time to do anything that are some of the online offerings. I know they want more of the stuff to be in person, but yeah.
I was gonna say I went to the poster presentation because my boss's daughter Haley Spencer was presenting from UC, so I went to go support little SLP grad students or undergrads.
Very nice.
Anything else that you all loved or would change or anything about that? Just kind of in the overall ASHA flow. I don't know if I agree spreading it out more. I walked Disney level amounts of steps while I was in Boston. I don't know if I want to walk 70,000. I walk 35,000 each day. I don't need to walk.
No, not physically. Don't spread it out physically. Spread it out temporally for
I love that.
things. Yeah, but I agree with that. That was a big endeavor, very active for me. But I think the thing I would change if I ever had the opportunity to make the decision is line the outside of the convention center with food trucks.
I love this idea.
Yeah, because it was very much a struggle. There were definitely many days where I just forgot to eat, and it was like 3 or 4 p.m. and I was like, oh, yeah, I probably need to do that.
The big thing, I don't know how to fix this. And I talked to a couple people presenting on Saturday, and they were worried because they had like the 3 o'clock segment or the 4 o'clock or the 2:30 or whatever that last one was, about how many people were going to be in their attendance. And I have no idea how you fix that, but that is such a bad spot to be. I know when it came to Saturday, and I'm sorry to walk on your toes there, Rachel. Like when it came to Saturday, I was already back in my hotel crashing because I was exhausted.
Yeah, I think that there are non-preferred times. I think that the end of every day, the last session, you either have the people that started later that are like, oh, I'm going to go to this time and then I'll be out later tonight. Or you have the people that started first thing in the morning and they're like, I can't go anymore today. I've been here for 12 hours. I'm exhausted. I have other things to do. I had Friday night. Mine was 3:30 to 5, which was almost the last session. And then there were the parties that were happening. My college, UCF, had an alumni and UCF meetup. So I went to that immediately after. It was like a 15-hour day. I was so tired. And then Saturday morning after that night had 8:30 in the morning. And, I wasn't sure how many people were going to show up on a Saturday because some people had left already. They came in on Tuesday. Saturday, I left on Saturday, like that afternoon. So I don't know if there's a way to fix it. I think it's just the nature of number one being the week before Thanksgiving, I think is very difficult. So people have to fit it in and they're like, all right, now I have to go home and prepare because I have the entire week off for Thanksgiving. So I know next year, I believe, is the week after Thanksgiving.
I saw that. That's the first time in a long time.
So I'm interested to see what the attendance looks like there. I know one of the things that I'm still very much having germaphobe kind of issues, that I cannot be near anyone who has cold symptoms, not because I think I'm going to get COVID, just because I don't want to get sick. And I think having the ASHA convention, or just a convention in flu season in Boston in the cold with 15,000 people is like a recipe for disaster. And a lot of people did get sick. And I got my flu shot before, I got my COVID shot before, because I didn't want to miss out on family time when I came back. Like I had my family coming in. So that was a way I prepared and thankfully did not get sick. I'm interested to see next year in Seattle, having it the week after, what the attendance looks like.
December 5th through 7th.
Yep.
Super convenient. December in Washington.
I'm excited as a Floridian. I can't wait.
I think that's great. Yeah, I love it.
The only thing that I could think of to fix attendance issues on Saturday, and there is no way on God's green earth that it would happen, is that you put the awards banquet Saturday night. Like instead of opening with the awards, you close with the awards. And I know that will never happen, but that would be the only way you could guarantee a majority of people spending Saturday on the convention floor. Yeah. I mean, we see it with the Comic Expo I work, where, Sunday, like the speakers that come in to do stuff, presentations on Sunday, near the end of the show, everyone's already going home. They've spent 3 days on the show floor.
Yeah.
What was one of the best parts that you all loved that was not speech related? So this is kind of the part where we rejuvenate our batteries. We've talked about the classes. We talk about if we ran ASHA, how we would fix the convention. Evidently, me being old and fixing the app doesn't count. What was something that you guys loved besides our speech science get together? Did that ever make it on Instagram, by the way?
It was a story. I don't think it was a post, but we definitely I posted a story.
Side note, I love shrimp. I ordered a shrimp cocktail, and Michelle, the shrimp cocktail appetizer price $21. How big do you think the shrimp should have been for $21?
Where were you?
We were at the hotel restaurant.
How big the actual physical shrimp should be? Or
yeah, was there 5 or 4?
It was 5, I think.
Okay, I didn't want to undervalue it. All right, there were 5.
All I can think of with shrimp cocktail is the Good Place. If anyone knows the show.
Yes.
So would you expect them to be like big like fingers or like silver quarters?
Well, you're in Boston, so whatever they are there, I don't know.
Yeah, they were like the size of quarters.
Well,
and there
then
were
they should
5
have given you more.
They were little.
Small. They should give you more.
As I was eating it, Rachel goes, "Is that worth $4.50?" I was like, "I don't know."
Do you know though that a lot of you do know that a lot of the shrimp cocktail you buy at the store is composite, like it's not real shrimp.
What?
What?
Yeah.
They no.
Yeah. You've got to check the labels, man.
Wait,
oh my
what?
Gosh.
How do you make a
Okay, so
Google this right now. You're just gonna be sad.
I know. I think just like my favorite part of ASHA was seeing people.
Oh yeah, you're right, Michelle. Yeah, sorry.
Is it composite? It's composite.
I think when I'm talking about shrimp cocktail, I'm talking about like just the big shrimp in the shell.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, then it's got to be legit.
Yes, that's what I was really confused about. Like I had to look up shrimp cocktail, and yes, you're right. There is like pureed shrimp with stuff in it, but
mixed
no, these
with
were
crab and like other stuff. Yeah,
this was like actual shrimp.
Okay.
All right, sorry, Rachel.
It's okay. I just wanted to say that I think seeing people who I've been in contact with, there was someone that I met at ASHA Connect over the summer in June, which was a great experience. They have been in touch with me up until ASHA. We got together the first night, just kind of caught up for the last couple months and continued our discussion and just had I find such a connection with these people that I've met. And I also think I met AC Goldberg, who we've been in touch over Instagram, and meeting people in person, you're not ever sure if the vibes are there or if the connection is there. And immediately I was like, I like you, and we walked around together, and just, I love that part of it, and the socializing part, which is interesting because the socializing part is really exhausting for me. So it's just like filling my time with good people. I think that was my favorite part.
The people is what I feel like I missed out on, like seeing people in person and having that experience that you've all talked about of building you up in the profession again, instead of feeling like you're isolated, because so many of our jobs on a day-to-day basis, we're not working right with other SLPs. There's some that are, but most of us don't. And I just feel like something like this allows that connection and allows the in-person meeting, especially for those of us who are in the social media world of SLP to actually see these people and meet in person.
I made that comment at school the other day when they asked how ASHA was. And I said it was like so nice to talk to other SLPs about SLP issues and not have to like describe the issue in detail, to just get somebody to go, oh, that sucks. Do you want to go get something to eat? Like, you didn't want to like dwell on it, but you just needed somebody to go, I recognize your issue. Let's move on together. You know what I mean? Where like at a school, everyone's like, we all have problems. And it just felt nice to have. And on the other side, the flip side, the celebrations of, hey, we did this as SLPs. On meeting side, on people side, I got to like hang out with some really unique people, and then also ran into a bunch of OU professors, Michelle.
Really?
Yeah, like one was Dr. McCarthy in a bar, so that was fun.
I love that you sent me that picture, by the way. For those of you who don't know, I worked for Dr. McCarthy during grad school in his research lab, his AAC lab. So
very
and then,
cool.
Ruchi, what about you? What was the part that you will walk away with this?
You know what? I think for me, what landed was the encouragement to shoot my shot and participate as much as I've been encouraged to do. There were some presentation opportunities I wanted to do, but I was trying to take a step back this year, and I might as well have submitted those. And so that's something I'm looking forward to doing for Seattle, with a lot of, colleagues and friends that I really care about. And I think also just like sitting, like there was one thing where I sat with a few colleagues, and like a couple of people are new people, new friends, and one was an old friend, and we just sat at like my hotel bar, and I taught them how to play Business Walrus, which is like one of my favorite games. Yeah, Business Walrus.
I don't know this. I need to look
Business
this up
Walrus is great. For like if it's made by the same people who did Cards Against Humanity, and so it's just kind of like you have to pick some cards and make a product and pitch it to whoever is the Business Walrus that round, and they rotate. And so you get some cards, you have to match what the investor wants, but also and then usually you'll come up with some really hilarious or darkly comedic options. In one game that I played, I came up with this idea of having a turtle that had a GPS system that leads you to treasure, and at midnight, if you don't find the treasure, it prints out a receipt that says the F word. As like a tourist attraction kind of thing. So it's just like ridiculous stuff that you get to figure out how weird you are, and that's always fun for me, is just getting to bond over the strange stuff with colleagues, and you don't expect that it's going to happen, but it does.
Amazing.
I love it. I am hoping maybe I can get to Seattle. I am trying to find a booth that wants to pay to send me to Seattle, so if anyone wants me to work their booth, I will. Other than that, I don't know. No. Listen, you just sent that link in the chat, and it's like $2,000 for a booth space.
I found the link for registering for the exhibit hall.
We need an advertiser.
We're going to need to find a corporate sponsor.
We need an advertiser.
New Year's resolutions, people.
Oh, hey,
we haven't had an advertiser in a while. So.
Details coming. As we wrap up, Rachel, you had the SS Pod shout out this week.
I do. This is to Jordan from Fighting for My Voice.
Okay.
Fighting for My Voice. He sent me a book called Jordan's Journeys, a not so silent Christmas and Apraxia story. So this is a book written by Jordan about his life as someone with apraxia. And it's just like a nice holiday book that you can read to little kids, use in therapy sessions if you want. Read to your own kids, and there's a letter for Santa Claus in the back. And by the way, I'm Jewish, but I still love this. And then there are also coloring pages in the back. So I really like how Jordan shares his story as someone with apraxia and still working as someone with apraxia. And I love that he put his message into this book. It's really great. So good job, Jordan.
And while you had told us about him earlier, before we were recording, I had looked up his website, and he has other books too.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely worth checking out his website, fightingformyvoice.com.
I love it. Any closing thoughts on our ASHA wrap up?
I don't think so.
Cool.
I'll be there. I'll be there
Quiet.
next year. So
I'm gonna go next year. It's on my coast. You gotta make it happen.
Michelle, if you're driving from North Carolina out to Seattle, just swing by and pick me up. Hey,
I have done enough cross
I didn't tell the story on air.
I will take a flight.
I almost canceled going to ASHA because I had a legit anxiety attack Monday night and decided to cancel my flight to ASHA
And you drove
from Cincinnati to Boston.
Yeah.
So.
Did you feel better driving?
Immediately.
Then that's what you needed to do.
Well, I realize that, but like,
no, I'm glad you were able to.
that was also why I crashed on Saturday, is because I took 3 or 4 melatonin at like noon on Saturday or 1, so I could sleep during the daytime and then wake up rested to then drive back early in the morning.
Oh my gosh, Matt.
I made it. It was fine.
Uh,
Our intro music is Please Listen Carefully. Go for it, Richie.
No. Well, I was just gonna say we're gonna my husband and I and friends were planning to go to LA and take the Coastal Star Line up to Seattle. It's a 35-hour train ride.
What?
So you get so you get the view of the thing. So I would
The whole
I don't know, Matt.
coast,
I
yes.
would do some research about an Amtrak that you can pick up and take a train out to Seattle.
You could head to Chicago and hop on one.
Yeah.
Well, we have an Amtrak that runs from Cincinnati to Chicago.
So there you go. Just
It gets
go
picked
through
up
Chicago
at
and you'll head
midnight.
west.
Yeah. Speech
You
science.
can sleep, you can read, you could record the podcast. You can do all those things on your train ride.
Oh my gosh, it'll be Planes, Trains, and Automobiles 2024. And instead of Dell, it'll be Rachel, Rucci, Matt, and Michelle.
Yeah.
love it.
I
just
love
wanna be
taking the
John
train.
Candy. Let me be John Candy and we won't have any problems.
Please Listen Carefully by Jazar, license under an attribution and share like license. And our closing music is The Slow Burn by Kevin MacLeod, license under a Creative Commons attribution license. Oh, I got to see Janice Wright, and I told her that we still use the Be a Willow because willows bend and return to form, and oaks look strong, but they will crack. And she laughed and then asked if we were going to give her any royalties from anything we make off of the willow. And I told her that we are so far in debt from the show, and she said she doesn't want to help.
You can check
Love you,
the
Janice.
$35 amount.
Yes.
Yeah.
In December, we made 22 cents. We will send her part of that.
Yeah, good.
Oh, it's been fun. I will see you guys next week. Hey, let's do this again.
Yeah.
I'll see you soon.
That's the plan. See you soon.
Speech Science is edited and produced by MWH Production. Please follow Speech Science on Twitter at Speech Science PC and like our page on Facebook. And rate and subscribe to our podcast anywhere you get your podcasts.